Hey, what's up, YouTube world? It is your girl here, the Venusian Bull, and in this video, I will be discussing Neptune in the third house, okay? So, as a reminder, the third house has to deal with early childhood education, siblings, cousins, media, all communications of all kinds, and short distance travel, if I didn't mention that, okay? All right, so with Neptune in the third, your strength is in your ability to communicate spiritually. And with Neptune being in the third, it gives you a dose of logic. Because, you know, Neptune can really be in la la land. But with it being in the third house, it gives you like that little dose of logic that you're kind of missing. Great with all things in the arts, especially in terms of like writing poetry, songs, screenwriting, like writing plays and things like that, even writing like fantasy novels, fiction, and things like that, but fantasy oriented. Also, you would be great at acting as well. And you also may be a very good dancer and just very flexible with the body. I would say this is true for a Mercury in the third house person as well. You have a very light, airy, and somewhat beautiful way of communicating, but it may come off as too quiet and too meek. As a child, your mind probably wandered a lot while in school and constantly in la la land and dreamland. You thrived in the classes that involved the arts, but may have struggled in classes that needed more logic, like math and science. So kind of the opposite of Uranus in the third house in that way. You have a very vivid imagination and you enjoy communicating that to people. So creative writing was probably a preferred subject for you as well. You love talking to people about stories, and you may have the tendency to make up stories, embellish these stories just to make them more interesting, but people get really into it. You've probably heard like, you should write a book, that is very interesting, you had me believe in that, you know what I'm saying? So that's something that could be a possibility for Neptune in the third. I would be careful while driving, as the absent-mindedness can cause accidents. Also, remember, Mercury is in retrograde right now, and if you got Neptune in the third and Mercury transiting your third, beware, okay? I would be careful while driving. Oh, I just said that. You probably enjoyed, make-believe playing as a kid with friends and siblings and things like that, pretending you are a king or a queen and you live in a castle, or pretending that you're a dog, or pretending that you're a bear, just like, or a unicorn, that's very Neptunian, is a unicorn and things like that. This would make, as I mentioned earlier, a great placement for an actor or an actress. Because of the whole fantasy and idealism kind of aspect and just the Hollywood aspect in general. You could have the tendency to lose electronic devices, or even just losing your train of thought quite often, just because you're a little slower at getting your point across. So people will be like, okay, like, what's the deal? What's going on? Like, what? And then you're like, oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. And then you like kind of talk real smooth and slow like this. You just might be like real chill, like, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Might have smoked too much weed that day. Moving right along. You could have you could be a clairvoyant and be able to communicate things other people cannot, or communicate with spirits. People may think you're talking to yourself, but it may be a spirit. So keep that in mind. Your psychic ability can simply be that you know what people are going to say before they say it, especially with it being in the third house, Neptune being in the third house, and knowing if something will happen to someone as a result of travel or their devices. So you may also be able to see things like, okay, like, you shouldn't take the train today, it's gonna break down and you're going to be hours late for work. Like, you may be able to see those types of things. Like, it's really interesting how Neptune operates, because it always shows like where your kind of psychic ability kind of lies. So you will have a lot of psychic ability in the way, like, in terms of knowing, when people should and shouldn't travel certain places, what kind of mode of transportation they should take. Like, girl, you should not take that Uber because he looked crazy, like that type of thing. All right. And with so many thoughts going through your head, just beware of potentially losing your mind. Okay. Go and see that therapist. I always say this about Neptune in the third, but yes, I will say that about Saturn in the third too. So yeah, that was Neptune in the third house in a nutshell. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Let me know if this resonated with you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.